Come with me, come on, all the way into my office. So today I'm going to be taking you through what I am going to be working on with the half did. So I've got maybe it's a couple of days work, and I think I might get most of it done today, but I'm going to walk you through exactly what I am going to be up to at this stage of the half did as I try and maneuver into my seat without looking at what I'm doing. Relax. So now that I've just finished my first draft of books 5, 6 and 7 of the half did, and because I wrote them kind of in the individual character stories kind of separately, they're not all together. So what I need to do is I need to take all of those chapters and I need to put them into the order that they are supposed to be, or well, actually I don't know actually where the chapters are going to go exactly, which is what I need to figure out today. So I'm going to place them into the order that I believe they should be for the book to make sense, for the story and the overall character arcs to make sense. So I'm going to show you exactly what I've got in the documents that I've got on my computer right this moment. So basically I've got 4 documents open on these 2 screens, and they are a list of the individual characters' chapters. So I'll put them into these tables. This is primarily Paula's story, but because I started writing all 4 characters together in the book, and there's a lot of the other characters' chapters kind of in, at least in the first book, and then it starts to peter off a bit as you get into the second and then the third book. So this particular document is 33 pages long. So these other 3 chapter lists are a lot shorter because some of their earlier chapters are in the main document with Paula. So for example, Deb's chapters, there's only 11 pages of that. Harry's chapters, there's only 7 pages, and Matthew's, we've only got 5 pages. And some of these characters appear a lot more than the other characters. So on the side here, I've got these boxes of information that I would like to have listed. Not all the boxes are filled in because I've got some separate documents like kind of somewhere else with biography details in it, which I'm gonna compile a big kind of biography list of every character and all of their different habits and accents and sexuality and what weapons they have and whether they've got tattoos, piercing, some of their clothes and like their body kind of descriptions, eye color, their age, etc, etc, etc. So some of it does appear in this because I haven't listed it elsewhere. So as I'm going through and I'm coming across a description or something relevant to that character, then I'll make a list of it in that box, and then I'm going to compile a bigger kind of more concise document of all of that kind of information. And then I think it's really important to include, well, for my story, the date and the kind of the day of the outbreak. So for example, at the beginning of this story, these 3 books, we're still on day 2 of the outbreak, but the story in these 3 stories covers a lot longer kind of timeline than the first 3 books did. I'm excluding the 4th book from that because it was a prequel and it covers 5 years, whereas this one is covering about a month's kind of period. So these 3 books are covering a month's period. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to date every single chapter of when it takes place, and then I can kind of knit them together, kind of place them around those dates, so I know kind of where they fit with each other in terms of the overall timeline of the outbreak. If that makes sense. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go to all the different chapters where I've got them all actually written and then kind of cut and paste them and put them all into one document. I'm not doing that yet. What I'm doing today is I'm going to use these documents here, and I'm going to just shift kind of individual chapters about and put them into the main kind of table of chapters, and then I can easily kind of shift something out and move it around a couple of little places up and down within that kind of table. Whereas if I cut and pasted a whole chapter and put them into the book, and you got reams and reams of stuff I would have to kind of highlight and cut and paste elsewhere. So that's going to be a lot harder, a little more tricky. Obviously I'm going to have to do that at some point, but once I've got the order kind of all kind of sorted out, date wise and story wise and character wise, it all makes sense, then I'll shift them around in the main kind of the book so they're all in the correct order. Now, one of the problems that I've got at the moment as I've been going through and as I've been writing, I've created some inconsistencies. So one of the boxes I've got here, it's got there's a box here for notes. So I've got like contradictions or stuff that I need to check. For example, in this story with Matthew, in this particular chapter, Matthew's got his wallet and his ID, but in a previous book, he had actually lost his ID back in London. So he shouldn't have it at this point. So I'm going to have to go back and change he needs to have his ID for this particular chapter. So I'm going to have to make him not lose his ID in the previous kind of book. Do you know what I mean? And then I've also got a couple of instances where there's two characters have got the same name. So, for example, in this particular chapter, there's a character called Andrew who doesn't appear, he's just spoken about by another character. But it's also the name of a character that was in book 3, which I've already published. And I don't want that confusion. They're thinking they're talking about, the same character when they're not. And then also I've got another character with the same surname, and I need to change that because one's a doctor and then one's a prison inmate. So it's a bit of confusion there, and they're in different separate books as well. So I need to kind of change that. And then I've got another character called Stuart McGregor, but then I've got another character who's got a surname of Stewart, which that's going to be a little bit confusing. So I need to change one of those names as well. And I think there's only them 3 instances, but there might be the order, I don't know, might be another one, I don't know. So that is what I'm up to today, folks. I'm going to be putting all the chapters into the correct chronological order so the story makes sense. So I'm going to have to crack on and get on with this work because it's not going to do itself.